Grand Rising, good people. Grand Rising. Hopefully, y'all can hear me. We got a little bit of a different setup today for a few different reasons. A few different reasons. Is it still on mute or was that before? Yeah, I don't know what's up with this platform. You got to keep resetting everything. So let me know if I'm good. Hopefully, I'm good. It's showing up on my end. If not, it may be a little mistake. I may have to switch mics, but there you go. All right. So change the setup today. We did our first one-on-one interview in the studio over the weekend. It was spontaneous. So for y'all that saw a little bit of the lives that we were doing over the weekend, we Maya and her friend Jasmine was so nice of her. So Maya's birthday was yesterday. So definitely, and I'll be repeating that probably about 10 more times throughout the show so we can make sure that she gets the perfect amount of love that she deserves. But no, so our girl Cleopatra was here doing manicures and manis and petties. Manis and petties. I didn't get my petty, but I need one. And Cleopatra, dope. She's from Greece and she's lived a bunch of different places, speaks like 5 different languages. And we had a good conversation about relationships, perspectives. Obviously, you do nails, you're going to be around a lot of ladies. So it was an interesting perspective to hear her discuss different things and whatnot. So I say all that to say that's part of the reason why we have this set up. The other part of the reason is because we are getting ready to meditate. We are getting ready to spend the first half of the show meditating. That's what we are finna do. We are finna just lock in on a meditation. If you're not able to be completely still, that's perfectly fine. If you got to listen to it in the background, that's perfectly fine. But as I was searching for topics today and I'm scrolling through X, scrolling through YouTube, the only things that came up were obviously war with Iran. And I was thinking about Mama Lay, how Mama Lay always tells me that the things that you focus on the most, those are the things that will grow. And I want us to, and I was also thinking about the video that we put up a couple weeks ago where they were saying that if just 1% of the population decided to meditate, the type of improvements that that would create in society, less violence, all of these things, it would just manage our emotions better. Our outlook, our perspective would shift a little bit. So I decided to go back to who I used to listen to a lot, Wayne Dyer. Not sure if y'all are familiar with him, but he does some amazing meditation, some before bed you can do when you first get up throughout the day. And one stood out to me, which he discusses this concept of I am and the importance of what we project to the world and what we can create through certain projections that we make internally. So we're still going to talk about an update on life right now, right? This war with Iran. We're going to talk about that, but we're going to set the stage in the first half of the show with getting our minds right. And I know a lot of people may not be excited to do something like that. But what I asked you to do is just trust the process. I don't know about y'all, but I don't know of a lot of people who can say that they've meditated for over a half an hour. When's the last time they did that? So, like I said, we're going to do it a little bit differently. And if you're on your way to work, that's cool. Obviously, you're not going to be closing your eyes, but perhaps just hearing some of the words, because it is a guided meditation, hearing some of the words can put you in a proper or a more positive headspace. So, as you're joining. Shout out to O3000 forever. I'm gonna highlight some of these comments that have come in, and then we're gonna get into it. Finn, man. Matter of fact, one of the things that we're gonna share a little bit later on is a conversation, if it's okay with you, Finn, that you posted on X, and I think it will give people some proper perspective on war and how horrific war is, and how a lot of the people that are pushing us to go to war, the only reason why they do so is because they've either never experienced it themselves or know that they're not going to be on any front lines, risking their lives or doing the actual killing of other people. So war is sweet to those who have never experienced it. Pindar. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing that correctly, Pindar. If I'm not, my apologies. But yes, war is sweet to those who have never experienced it. I don't think we should ever get to a point where we're justifying war. Like that is where humanity has failed, when we have to resolve conflict based on killing each other. So I don't want us to ever think about it any other way. Doesn't matter. Finn wrote, live for yourself, because in the end, the only thing that matters is being true to your path. Walk it without apology and never look back. Stand on the things that you stand on, especially, and if you don't have anything that you feel comfortable standing on, maybe this meditation will be good for you, bring some clarity, because we need more people standing on whatever's the opposite of what has been stood on to get us in a lot of these wars and in the position that we're in today. So yeah, got Unk in the building. Shout out to Unk in the building. Good morning, Grand Rising. Shout out to Unk. Unk said, I didn't think it would happen this fast, so I figured it would take at least the second or third year of his administration, but it's happening. It is happening. Shout out to Bubbles in the building. Shout out to Bubbles. Shout out to Critical in the building. Howdy. Howdy, Grand Rising, Grand Rising. Uh, Critical said, Unk, robot, gonna lose midterms over Epstein. Government will grind to a standstill. Now's the only time they have left. Yeah, there definitely seems to be some urgency with all this stuff. Like, it's like y'all are trying to, 80% of Americans, I think somewhere around that number, don't want to go to war with Iran. So we just decide to go for it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Bubbles, what's up, Bubbles? Hope all is well. You enjoying the bubbles in the Yeah, I like that more than the other countdown. I like that video more than the other countdown. All right, so let's shout out to Phyllis in the building. What's up, sis? Hope all is well. Hope all is well. Um, that still gets me. Shout out to 3000 forever. All right, so this is gonna be different. Matter of fact, I had a positive outlook on this, still have a positive outlook on this. Yesterday, when I was thinking about doing this, in my mind, I was like, yo, imagine this is just gonna be the thing that breaks the algorithm. We're gonna have everybody in here meditating. It'll just grow. People will just be in a meditative space, and not it'll be a little bit different than what they're expecting, but we'll have like 1,000 people on here, and it'll be something game changing, life changing, and it still will be that. I don't know if it's going to be that today, but it still will be that. And even if it's not reflected in the numbers that are showing up in the group chat, I think it'll be compounding power with the people that we do have here deciding to meditate. And maybe this is the one where you want to share with a friend. Maybe you know a friend that could use some meditation. Maybe you want to drop it in the group chat. Whatever you decide, it doesn't matter to me, but we are going to meditate. So if that's not your cup of tea, I totally understand. We will be back at around 9:05 discussing some of the topics. So if you're just against meditation, you can tap in around like 9:05 and check back with us. But we are going to get into this meditation by Wayne Dyer. Like I said, everybody's not in a position where you can sit down and just close your eyes. If you are, maybe that's what you want to do. If you're making your coffee, if you're headed to work, if you're at work, maybe just playing this in the background, whatever it is that you choose to do so. I think that at the end of this meditation, we'll be in a much better place than we are now. So let me share the screen. It's not a sexy background, but like I said, it's just more audio. So Wayne, he'll give you a little bit of an introduction. to what he does, and then that'll set the stage for the guided meditation. So without further ado.
Welcome to the I Am Wishes Fulfilled meditation. My name is Dr. Wayne Dyer, and I'm very happy to offer you the opportunity to meditate to the same divine sounds that I use every single day of my life. I discovered these sensational sounds while doing research for my most recent book, which is called Wishes Fulfilled, which places a real strong emphasis on the significance of the words, I am that I am. These are the words written in the spiritual literature of the Torah, which is the first 5 books of the Old Testament, in which God tells Moses, "This is my name forever, the name by which I shall be known for all future generations. I am that I am." The very first time I meditated to these sounds, I was hooked, as were each of my children, after encouraging them to do so as well. And it's no wonder, really. I discovered while reading James Twyman's book, The Moses Code, that the sounds you will be hearing in track 2 and track 3 of this CD were the result of some intense research to reproduce the exact sounds associated with the name of God found in the Old Testament, translated from the original Hebrew as, I am that I am. It turns out that specific numbers can be assigned to letters, and the tuning fork sounds you will be meditating to are the exact sounds ascribed with the letters that comprise the divine name of God, that is, I am that I am. This has been called the most powerful meditation tool in the history of the world. This is how I use it every day. I encourage you to become open to the idea that these sounds, when accompanied by your own I am mantra, can and will provide you with the ability to live a wishes-fulfilled life. The 2 words I am are the name of God. Thus, when you use these words, I encourage you to keep in mind that this is your own divine name as well. As the scriptures remind us, let the weak man say, I am strong. Thus, I urge you to be mindful of what you say to yourself when you use the name of God. I am should always have that which is aligned with God in the same sentence. Here's how I use these powerful frequencies in my daily meditation practice. Think of the 5 words, I am that I am. In your mind, place a comma after the word that. Let that represent for you what you would like to manifest or become as a person. And I can't stress this enough. Write down on paper precisely what that represents for you. Whatever constitutes your wish, write it down, and in your mind, call it that. For example, that could mean your perfect health, or abundance, or a specific job, or a happy, loving partnership, or anything at all. Write it down and be specific. And as you close your eyes in meditation, let your inner mantra be, I am that. For example, I am perfect health. I am abundance. I am in possession of the job I seek. Here you are getting used to the idea of using your imagination as your guide and living in your inner mental world as if what you desire is already your reality, is already a present fact. Your future dream in your imagination is a present fact. The words I am are the name of God, which is synonymous with your highest self. You are not saying I will be or I hope to be. You are speaking as God speaks, calling that which does not exist as though it already did. Say it over and over as your inner mantra, I am that, and make that represent whatever it is that you would like to attract into your life, and that represents your highest wishes that are now in alignment with your source of being. Then, if you notice your breath as you repeat this mantra while in the company of these sacred sounds, on an in-breath, after saying, I am that, feel the energy of this coming back to you from God by saying, I am that I am. And on the in-breath, I am represents it coming back to you into your consciousness from God. When you feel yourself on an out-breath saying, I am that, then say, I am sending this message out to your source of being. That is, you're sending it back to God if you're saying, I am that, whatever it is you want to attract into your life, and if you're breathing out, you're sending it out to God, to the one divine mind. I am that. Breathe out and say I am, and feel it going from within you to God. In breath, I am coming from God. Out breath, going out to God. I wouldn't struggle with this or try to keep track simply of your breath. I would simply allow these divine sounds to permeate your entire being, either with headphones or, as I prefer and how I do it, in an empty room with 3 white candles that I light and place before me. Track 2 is a 20-minute deeper I Am Wishes Fulfilled meditation. It is followed directly by track 3. A 20-minute sound meditation using the same holy frequencies accompanied by gentle music for a more active wishes-fulfilled meditation. There are several ways to do this. You can do a 20-minute morning meditation using the second track, and then in the evening do a more active meditation, or you can do all of them at once. I prefer to do them for 40 minutes if I have the time, and I frequently do this. But often I will just do the 20-minute one, and then later on I'll do the second 21. So when I do all 40 minutes in one sitting, and when it is complete, truly I feel as if I've made blissful conscious contact with God, and my brain feels as if it's gone into a theta state and experienced a shift to a much higher God-realized vibration. I love these sounds. I truly feel totally at peace, almost as if I'm wrapped in the arms of God when I do them. My brain feels different. I feel as if I've made conscious contact with God. It's one of the more beautiful sounds that I've ever encountered in my life. And I'm grateful to James Twyman for having put these beautiful sounds and discovered them in his research for the Moses Code. I encourage you also to read Wishes Fulfilled for an in-depth explanation of how to use your I Am awareness for a clearer understanding of how all of this can be put to use into your daily manifesting practice. Treasure your moments in meditation while absorbing the sounds that correspond to the divine name of God. I am that I am. May all your wishes be fulfilled.
So I'll try to give y'all a few pointers as we're going through. If you notice my outfit, that's why I'm dressed like a shaman today. But the whole point of this is to focus on that I am and what comes after that. So I am that, focusing on that, continuously telling ourselves that we are that, whether it's perfect health, whether it's financial abundance, whether it's purposeful abundance that we strive for, whatever it is, focus on what you are and what you would like to create for yourself. So no difference than what we do at the end of the show. Typically, where we're focusing very intentionally on every inhale, inhaling positive energy. What are the things that you think of that bring you light, whether it's family, friends, anything that brings you in a positive place? And every exhale, releasing any bit of negative, limiting energy. So for all those that may just be joining, just give a quick reminder, just giving a quick reminder, we are doing an I am meditation. So I am, which is channeling our inner light, our godly consciousness within all of us to project the things out from an internal space to eventually create the reality that we seek. Positivity, all the things that bring joy to us, bring a light to us. That's the focus, especially during these times that we're living in. Just make sure that we're not just getting caught up in what's on mainstream news, into the chaos, fear mongering. We want to remind ourselves that we are in control of creating the reality that we seek. So when you say those words, I am, whatever comes after that, that is a declaration to the world, and more importantly, yourself. And now we're projecting that energy out, so you can expect those same frequencies and opportunities to come back. If you're in a place where you can close your eyes, where you can use your imagination, that's amazing. But even if you're not, even if you're driving to work, dealing with traffic you may be dealing with, just hearing these sounds, make sure that you relax, make sure that you're taking it in, and make sure that we're concentrating on create. having your happiest moments, where would you be right now? Whether it's on the beach, wherever, and to your greatest happiness. For me, I'm always looking back, thinking when I was a kid, and you used to use your imagination, it's really important. And it's much more vivid than walking through reality today. Maybe that's that. All right, so real quick, you ever think about Peter Pan and like what was the hidden message behind Peter Pan? Like think about it from this standpoint. Peter Pan, what do you have to do? All right, you sprinkle besides like the sprinkle, Tinkerbell sprinkle in the dust and whatnot. What was the concept? It was if you think positive thoughts, you can fly, you can soar. But if you can't think positive thoughts, you stay in the same place that you are, a lower frequency, rather than being able to fly and reach a higher frequency. Perhaps that's what the lesson was behind it. Or maybe I'm just going back to the meditation. But I think about that all the time. That lesson being made. Think positive thoughts, elevate your frequency. Maybe think about if you were to create a life for yourself, what would that look like? what would your dream home look like? What would the sense be like? I don't know about y'all, but when I meditate, it gives me the biggest return when I'm thinking about all my senses. My imagination, my positive experiences. It's like what the candles smell like in the back, what the food tastes like, the sounds, what type of music is playing, all these different things. Be as vivid as possible. Perhaps it's a good time to reflect on some of the areas that you can make some improvements in. Looking at it from a negative standpoint, dwelling on things that we don't like, things that we need to change, and just putting our minds focusing on what that change would look like, how we would present it, focusing on the positive aspects. What are some areas that you can improve? What would that change? How would that improve our relationship? Things that we can concentrate on our end, things that are within our power to change our situations with. If we had 100% confidence in ourselves, our most confidence, what would we strive to accomplish? What type of life would we be living right now? Maybe focus on those things. Getting back to the most confident version of ourselves. What would you be creating right now? What would you be doing? Would you be working the same job? Would you be the same type of person? All these different things. Maybe just thinking about the world that we can create based on what we strive for and what we settle for. We can meditate on it and turn those thoughts into reality. we should. Maybe some relationships that could use some repairing, or maybe just sending some positive energy, some healing energy to somebody in our family's way. Maybe this is an opportunity where we can do so. Maybe thinking of some family members that are no longer here with us in the physical form, but just that are very much real though in the spiritual. Maybe having a conversation with them, certain lessons we may remind ourselves to learn from them. Maybe it's just remembering somebody's smile, somebody's laugh, whatever it may be. Maybe that'll bring some positive energy and some good thoughts to mind. Maybe take some time to consider what would bring more peace to your life. Think about the people that bring you peace. Think about the feeling that you get being around people that bring positivity into your life. And maybe think about how you can make some improvements in that area. What does peace even look like for you? Reminding ourselves of what the initial thoughts were by Wayne Dyer as far as I am. Reminding ourselves that everything that we see in the world today, whether it's buildings, whether it's cars, whether it's AI, anything that we see in the world today, is first thought. in somebody's mind what was created. And that should serve as a reminder that we can do the same thing in our lives. Whether it's building something physically, whether it's building spiritually, we have that ability. For a lot of us, it may be hard to fully believe that we are what we say we are, and saying some positive things. Wayne Dyer said that I am that. It'd be hard for some of us to say I am a positive person right now. Whatever it is, unpack that internally, figure it out. Maybe just release it. Maybe release all those limiting thoughts and understand that whatever you weren't yesterday, you can become today. Maybe think back to a time in life where things just flowed, didn't seem hard. You were excited to wake up. You were excited to live. More optimistic. You thought higher of yourself. Confident. All these things. If you decided to start a new chapter of your life today, what would it be called? What would it be focused on? What space would you be moving into? a lot of us are sitting at our places of work, maybe questioning, maybe asking ourselves some questions about, you know, what would be our dream situation, our dream job. Not to take away from what we're doing right now. Maybe the thought is to be more intentionally focused on how you can bring more value to the job that you're currently in. Also asking yourself, if you could do anything right now, what would it be? What would that look like? The steps would you have to take to get there? Maybe have a honest conversation with yourself as you are willing to do those things in order to execute and bring that to fruition. I heard somebody say over the weekend, actually, a few people, was a little brother of mine. He reminded me a large purpose of life, which is that you haven't lived until you've done something for somebody that you know you'll never be able to pay back, and that just stuck with me. A lot of times we've embraced a society where we always have to get something in return for doing a particular action. We feel like, "Oh, I'm not giving unless I know exactly what I'm gonna get." Perhaps we're limiting ourselves in a lot of ways. Perhaps when we're just giving freely, more meaningful, compound, holds more weight. Ironically, or I don't know if it's ironic or not, that's gonna be the energy that comes back when you're doing it with good intentions. We're doing it to have a positive outcome, not necessarily just from a selfish standpoint, but just to be a good person and spread positive energy. Some areas in our lives where fear has crippled us and prevented us from living life to the fullest, striving for certain things that we know we would like to attain, we'd like to create for ourselves, for our family. How does fear holding us back from maximizing our potential? What is fear? Is it real? Is it not? Typically, my understanding of it is whatever I decide to allow it to be, that's what it becomes. If I don't allow it to be anything, it won't be anything. So, what is fear? What role is fear playing in your life, in our lives? times I told us to think about a projection of life that we like, but perhaps we should also realize that, living in the moment, that's the ultimate gift. Somebody that can be in the moment, not always thinking about, well, if I do this, I can get that. Maybe just focusing on the now, appreciating all the things that we have in our life now, appreciating the riches, whether it's finances or just that we have lives, the family that we have our parents in our lives, whoever it is. And a lot of times we don't appreciate things until they're gone. Maybe we can shift that mindset to remind ourselves we shouldn't have to have to leave our lives for us to appreciate how much we love it and how much we cherish it. Last time we used our mind to heal our body. I remember reading this book, The Power of the Subconscious Mind, and it's like we can send directions to our body, repair this, repair that, just by focusing on certain things. Your shoulders bothering you, some people's back may be bothering you. When we're repeating those words and the statement, I am perfect health, I am healthy, I am pain free. I am, matter of fact, I'd actually change that. Instead of pain free, I would just say, I feel good. I am, I'm fluid. Yes. A lot of us may be entering new chapters of our lives that we may feel were outside of our control, and that may feel like taking a couple steps backwards. I think us understanding that no matter what it is that we're approaching, if we approach it with a positive outlook, a positive mindset, it's going to lead us to have not only the most enjoyable experience, but perhaps get the results as efficiently as possible and provide new opportunities to us to continue elevating. So just approaching things with a positive outlook can go a long way. Wow. All right, let me get in full shaman mode. That 40 minutes went by pretty quickly, but I guess slowly, you choose how you get out of your meditative state. Uh, wow, that went by a lot faster than I thought. But maybe just remind ourselves how we started. I am, and then you insert whatever it is that you are, and just repeat that a couple times to ourselves. So, whether I am, positivity, I am great health, whatever it is, maybe just repeat it a couple times to ourselves. Whew. All right. Oh man. We still have people here. We still have a few of us here. Um, yeah, I initially wasn't expecting to be going through it with y'all, and I don't think that I was guiding it. I think we all guided it for ourselves, but hopefully we got something out of that. Hopefully we got something out of that, and I think that's part of the making sure that we're balanced, that we're able to have these type of experiences along with all of the conversations that we have on the realities that need to be confronted, that we're facing, the ills, the horrors around the world. No matter what negative things are happening, we need to make sure that we're balancing it with positivity and being very intentional with that. So, wow. Oh man, didn't know what to expect, didn't know what to feel after that, but or no but, and I'm pleasantly, I don't know, surprised, but just feeling good about that. Just feeling good. Now, hopefully that can shape, at least direct us when it comes to having a lot of these conversations, to make sure that we're being optimistic. We're not just dwelling on, war with Iran and seeing the world through a Mark Levin type of Lindsey Graham type of perspective. There's nothing wrong with seeking happiness, nothing wrong with seeking peace. Matter of fact, if you're not seeking those things, then perhaps there's some internal conversations that need to be had. So, um, where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? I guess, you know what? I think is a good place to start for us, if it's okay with my big bro Finn. I think a good place for us to start is to highlight some of these conversations that Finn was having, and perhaps these can serve as a reminder that exactly what war is, but also a reminder that, there's a lot of people out here that have experienced war that have a very valuable perspective to give on a lot of these different things. All of us that haven't experienced war, I mean, I can remember, we say certain things, in sports where you'll draw certain maybe relatability or, certain connections, I should say, to war, where it's like football is like, we're in the trenches. No, it's none of that. Like, it's still a sport. No matter what the risk of injury is, no matter what the risk of, having a few concussions, it's just not that. War is not sport or anything like that. So I want to share a couple conversations that I found very helpful, just looking at. And you always being so open about expressing these things, Finn, I think it goes a long way. I rely on you and Steve heavily when it comes to shaping my mind and shaping my perspective on a lot of just what we see going on throughout the world. So I'm always appreciative of your feedback, and you know what it really is. Uh, and I hope this doesn't come across the wrong way, but it seems like people that, how can I put this? Um, it seems that people that understand violence, that understand war, that understand weapons, let's say, have a greater level of respect for the outcomes of all these things or the capability of a weapon, where a lot of people who may not have certain capabilities, where almost like you see certain people that have, let's say, been bullied their entire life. They almost have like an urge to bully other people. We've seen certain situations like that where it's like people that are very capable of, let's say, defending themselves or have experience in a lot of these things. Um, Critical. This may be you as well. Not to put anybody on the spot, but it seems like a lot of times those are the people that steer us towards peace the most, or that are not the ones that are trying to stoke the fire, rather than a lot of these other people who have never frontlined any war, who have never been involved in any type of military action or anything like that, but they feel like they benefit from it. They'll push people towards it, and they don't have a respect for perhaps human life the way that a lot of other people may, when you've been in certain situations where your life is on the line. So I always appreciate the perspective. That's what I'm trying to say. So let's take a look at this. So this was a conversation with Finn and Rawad Chama, and take a look. Hey, brother, just checking everything okay? Where you are with what's happening. Drop me a quick message when you can, bro. Hey, my guy, appreciate you checking in. All okay for now. Is the family okay back home? Woke up to strikes on Lebanon. Spoke with Mirielli yesterday, but that was before Israel started hitting Beirut in the south. Family's okay. Shit is overwhelming. Won't lie to you, but we're okay. We just had two big explosions right now. What new ones? Not the palms in the airport hit. Like, this is people's reality. And what's sad about it is a lot of times, we're in America. I'm right now sitting out looking at the water, and I don't feel threatened by any missiles. I don't know of, I've never had to experience sirens that go off where you have to take cover for bombs or anything like that. And I don't ever want to experience that life. And I don't think that we should take it for granted just because we're not actually the ones going through that. I don't think we should take perhaps the influence that we can have in steering away from those things. Nobody should have to experience these things. Just heard a story of, I think, two schools with over like 100 girls that were killed by a strike. Like, that's not a casualty of war. Like no matter what Lindsey Graham and Mark Levin and these neocons, these war hawks, whether it's Donald Trump or anybody else, no matter what they tell us, it's not okay. These are all preventable deaths. As soon as we convince ourselves and put in our mind that, oh, this is just how the world works, we're failing. We're feeding into the oligarch system. We're feeding into what these people want us to feed into. They know that this is demonic. These people that are pushing us to accept this as just something that just happens with the world, they know that these things going on are demonic, but they don't care. And they try to convince us that they're not. They try to tell us everything. So therefore, we'll be complicit in it. And it seems like everybody will just go along with it. These are demonic actions, and this is demonic behavior. We are living in a times where we have just accepted evil. And you know what's funny? A lot of times it seems like we accept evil, but we look at positivity and what that would look like is so far-fetched that, oh, we can't even get close to that. But evil is just right at our fingertips. Perhaps it's just an adjust in our mindset. Let's move on to this next message. Hey, sis, just checking in to make sure everything is okay and to gauge the current feeling in Lebanon with Israel up to its usual tricks. Hey, bro, we're fine for now, but their plans will continue. They will not stop until they become the greatest Satan. This war has no end. MEA got now, and later on, Europe. Has there been much happening in the South? We got zero news when it comes to what the IDF are doing. It's almost like the boys that control the Western media. I'm worried they are not going to stop and only push harder with their Greater Israel project, which will drag you all into more hardship. Let me read that again without being a coward now. Has there been much happening in the South? We get zero news when it comes to what the IDF are doing. It's almost like the Jews control the Western media. I'm worried they are not going to stop and only push harder with their Greater Israel project, which will drag you all into more hardship. The reason why I said, let me read it without being a coward, I think there needs to be a challenge to the Jewish population, not challenging you for any other reason than I think you're in a unique position to challenge Israel, to challenge our country, to call out a lot of these behaviors, who's driving them, why they are being driven this way. We can't just ignore this thing. We can't just ignore this. It's so easy for us to blanket and make a statement as far as we need to deport migrants. We need to deport the. We blanket all these other things. We hear certain people in Congress saying that, oh, there needs to be a Muslim ban on certain Muslim countries. We've done this before. So not to say that that's right. You know, obviously that's not right. I don't feel that that's right. But I think with certain groups, when certain things are happening, good cops are always going to be in a position to call out the quote unquote bad cops in ways that non-cops will never be able to, if that makes sense. So look, I made it very clear on countless shows. Y'all are my brothers, for all my Jewish brothers and sisters, but you need to be called out right now. You need to be called out right now because everybody has different roles. There's certain times where, let's say it may be on me, you know, to be called out and say, hey, you got to address certain things. You're in a unique position to where you can address some of these things that are occurring within your culture, within your community. So there's nothing wrong with us saying that. There's nothing wrong with us putting pressure on that. I don't know who else will. I mean, do you think that Israel, Bibi Netanyahu, cares about anything that I say? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe if I get a big enough voice to where it can convince others to see what they're doing in a different light. But overall, I think that there's just a unique opportunity for good cops to call out bad cops that non-cops will never have. So, and I hope everybody realizes I'm not just making this about cops. It's just the easiest metaphor perhaps to use. So Let's keep going. I think we had a couple more. Daily hits south and north, by the way. Many casualties, especially children. And yeah, medias are under Soros governments. It will become harder. Their plans till 2030. As for now, wait and see after March 3rd. The bloody moon and all things are written in their books of Talmud and dark sorcery. Wish all people are aware and awake. If people resist all their plans, they will fail. But all is written. John's book of Revelations. We have resistance here and proud to be one of them as well as my children. Even if we're going to die for the sake of our beliefs, we will. Even if we're going to die for the sake of our beliefs, we will. And I hate to make it so dark and grim, but if the devils and evil are willing to die to push the things that they're pushing, perhaps there is only one way of combating that. And not saying that we're pushing for anything like that, but what I take away from that is we just need to have the courage to stand up for what's good, the courage to stand up for what's positive. Deep down, all of us know. All of us know. When we hear certain people that are cheerleading for wars, when we hear certain people that are trying to justify and rationalize how, there's going to be casualties of war, and as long as it's not an overwhelming amount of casualties on our side, then that means that it's a good thing and the war turned out in our favor. I think we need to adjust our mindsets. I think we need to adjust it. Let me read the rest of it. Well, if that happens, sis, I'll be coming back up out of retirement and gearing up with you. Give my love to the family. You're always in our thoughts. Yeah. So just some, like I said, I appreciated you putting these up, big bro. I got a lot for them. And Finn wrote, hold on, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I missed that. I was looking at the other screen. So Finn wrote, and for context, she is Christian, not Muslim. I'm sorry. So you're talking about this message exchange with Marielle was before the airstrikes on Lebanon last night. Wow. See, I didn't even know that there were airstrikes last night. I didn't even get that update. Her messages this morning were that of worry, but conviction. Yeah. We're gonna figure this thing out. And there was actually a video that we may have played before that I want to show. I'm gonna show what I actually referenced as far as the schools and what happened with the elementary schools with the girls. But I also want to play a couple other videos, one with Charlie Kirk and also one with Jasmine Crockett, just to serve. The one with Jasmine Crockett is just to serve as a reminder that Republicans and Democrats, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. So let's start off with the one that I was talking about with the schools. I hate to put a damper on anybody's morning, especially after morning, anybody's AM, especially after the meditation. But like we said, we got to have the balance. We got to be aware of what's going on. We got to be aware of what tactics are being used against us. So that way we can make sure that we're not getting caught up in those same things. So let's take a look at this video. All right, we got it on the screen.
We have hit 2 children's schools. We have bombed 2 children's schools. 63 dead children, little girls dead. Their mothers waiting for their daughters to come home. They sent their daughters to school on the belief that there wouldn't be a war because there was diplomacy going on, that there wouldn't be a war because Marco Rubio said he was traveling to the region on Monday. So they sent their girls to a school. The girls were in school and we bombed it. And we bombed another one. There's 100 girls buried under that rubble being dug out now. Girls that will not survive. This is the horror of war. But what I'm trying to say is, at least when I was involved in the bombing of the Amaria shelter, we did our damnedest to make sure that it was a military target. We were wrong, and it haunts you forever. What in God's name could lead us to bomb 2 girls' schools? I'm involved in this. I did this for a living. I know you don't make those mistakes.
You know what it seems like, even as he finished up, you don't make those type of mistakes. And I remember a situation earlier where Israel struck like one of the oldest churches in the region in Palestine. And they were saying, oh, we made a mistake. We apologize. I think there were some people, I think a couple people were even killed, but I think a couple others were just injured. And I can just remember that it was always like, oh, we apologize, we made a mistake. But then you realize that a lot of these things, these attacks are very targeted. It's like a lot of these things are very targeted, and they're targeted to bring about perhaps different reactions and feelings from us. Maybe it is to incite as much violence in return, so that way we can justify then delivering back more violence, where it's Donald Trump getting on TV and saying, if they do this, then we're going to do that. But you're pushing them to do all those things. You're pushing them to do all those things. If they do this, you just struck them. What do you think they're going to do? So you strike them just so you could sit there and say, if you hit me back, then I'm going to shoot you. That's the energy of a lot of these things. So we just gonna make sure that we keep pushing and applying pressure in a positive direction. And that's all we can do. That's all we can do. So I wanted to show this conversation just to highlight a conversation with Jasmine Crockett. And she was asked about our relationship with Israel. Now, at first, I kept watching this. I watched this a few times, and I was like, did they cut it out? Like, is her answer to the question, like, did they like take a different answer to another question and apply it to this? Like, did they cut this up? Like, did they do the wrong edit? But you guys take a listen, and you tell me if you think that our government is anything other than being controlled, or at the very least, very much influenced by the Israeli government, to the point where Democrats and Republicans are scared to death to say anything bad about Israel, to call out anything that Israel's doing, perhaps because of personal survival, because people care more about themselves. A lot of these politicians that are supposed to be in roles to serve the people, we see them time after time put their own well-being, or put their own interest, I should say, in front of the people's interest. So take a look at this.
But there was something that you said. You said that the relationship between the United States and Israel has existed long before you were born, I was born, and will exist long after.
Yeah.
But why does that have to be the case?
Yeah.
You know?
It's a valid.
It's valid, but I also want to frame it like people like you and myself. Mm-hmm. The United States is at a relationship with a lot of things: racism, sexism, homophobia, and we fight against those things every day. Fight to cut those ties every day. So why does it feel like this relationship with Israel has to prevail?
I'll tell you this: that right now, because this at least has been publicly stated, right now we have allies that are not sharing information with us because they don't trust us to be able to hold on to that information in a safe way. Obviously, we've seen what's happened with Signalgate, that kind of stuff. But I will tell you that Intel has always been very important to the United States. And so that's...
Okay. Well, let's move on to something more.
Like what? Hold on. Let me play that clip again. Because if you're like me, then you were completely confused. Like, hold on. Like, did they mix this clip up? Take a listen again. And then I think things, not that they don't already make sense to a lot of us, but in case we have any new people that are, maybe in the earlier stages and still think that it's Democrat versus Republican, and that the two are totally different, and that if a Democrat was in office, we wouldn't be having this issue with Israel and going to war with Iran and all this other stuff. I get it. But take a look at this, and then we're going to go. And afterwards, after hearing this, I realized, or somebody posted something about the track AIPAC. So we'll get to see if Jasmine Crockett has received money from a lot of these pro-Israel Zionist lobbies. Yeah, Queens, I'm on the same page. What? The Russell Westbrook voice. What? Yeah, I'm tripping. Remember when Russell Westbrook said that? All right, let's take a listen.
But there was something that you said. You said that the relationship between the United States and Israel has existed long before you were born, I was born, and will exist long after.
Yeah.
But why does that have to be the case?
Yeah.
You know?
It's a valid.
It's valid, but I also want to frame it like people like you and myself. The United States has had a relationship with a lot of things: racism, sexism, homophobia, and we fight against those things every day. Fight to cut those ties every day. So why does it feel like this relationship with Israel has to prevail?
I'll tell you this: that right now, because this at least has been publicly stated, right now we have allies that are not sharing information with us because they don't trust us to be able to hold on to that information in a safe way. Obviously, we've seen what's happened with Signalgate, that kind of stuff. But I will tell you that Intel has always been very important to the United States. And so that's...
Okay. Well, let's move on to something more. But
and then this lady just leaves it there. Like, ma'am, there's if that answer made sense to you, then clearly you're with whatever manipulation is being presented. If that answer made, like, ma'am, like a natural response would be like, hold on, what? Like, what does that have to do with our relationship with Israel? Like Intel, can you break that down a little bit more? Can you go into a little bit more detail? You started off talking about how some of our allies don't trust us with information. And then you start talking about Intel is very important. And then she just stops as if she made a point. Like, yeah, so yeah. Like, you didn't answer the question. You didn't even come close to answering the question. And you had to know that no matter how many times you flicker those eyelashes, that people are going to hear this and sit here and say, she is making no sense. But then when I looked at some of the comments, of course, I go to the comments. Hold on. I'm going to show y'all exactly what I did. I scrolled down. And then what do you see? It all makes sense. It all makes sense. And I was sitting there talking to Maya, and Maya was like, she ain't even getting that much. She ain't even getting that much to be acting like that. So she's received $86,000 from these pro-Israel lobbies and their mega donors. Shout out to Track APAC. Shout out to Track APAC. Follow the money, right, Queez? What does Queez always remind us? Follow the money. Whoever pays you, that is who you work for. And if we understand it from that mindset, or if we have that understanding, then it allows us to see other things perhaps a bit clearer. It allows us to see other things with a lot more clarity when we understand, oh, they're getting paid to say this. They're getting paid to say this. They're getting paid to not say this. Whichever one it may be, they're getting paid for it. So it's very clear. So while we're sitting here bickering between Democrat and Republican, while they play and act like they're on different sides, when the real questions are asked, we see that they are all on the same page. It's just that they all have to appeal to different groups. So therefore, they answer the questions in different ways, whatever aligns with, okay, who's my audience? Who do I need to appeal to? What is consistent with what I've been telling them? What's inconsistent? How can I formulate an answer to this that doesn't have me looking crazy, even though she looks crazy, but to a lot of her followers, the people that likes her, the Vonses of the world. I would love for Vons to be in here. I wish Vons was on here. Y'all know Vons, he loves Jasmine Crockett, but I guess to certain people, it's not going to make a difference. But to others, people seeing this, more and more people, if you're being real with yourself, you're going to see certain answers like this from a Jasmine Crockett Democrat and realize, like, damn, there would be absolutely nothing else done, nothing different, depending on who's in office. Now, that may be, people may hear that as a cop-out, so let me be very clear. We should concentrate on Donald Trump. Donald Trump is the president. He's making these decisions. It's not a good enough answer to just sit here and say, well, the same thing would be happening if Biden was in office and da da da. Yeah. Based on factual evidence that we have of them never asking for a ceasefire when it came to Israel and Palestine at the height of a lot of these things, yes, I can understand that. That makes sense. But we have to just be very intentional and focused on it. Trump's in office. Trump represents our government. And really, that's all it is. It's different ways of representing the same people. That's all Democrat and Republican is. It's just different ways of representing the same thing. They have their agenda that's going to get done. Why? Because the same people are paying both. So therefore, the same result is going to happen. We know that. The same result is going to happen. They just have different methods of appealing and bringing it to fruition. That's how I see it, but I may be wrong as well. So I may be wrong, but yeah. And like Big Bro Steve said, like you just accepted that nonsense. That's the scariest part. That is the scariest part. So when and observing all these things, what makes it so scary is think about how long this has been going on, to where we see like how many 60 Minutes interviews, how many things that we've heard on TV, on mainstream news outlets, how many, like for how long have we been listening to a narrative that is shaped and curated to have a certain result that completely manipulates us and completely indoctrinates us to see things a particular way in order for us to justify things, whatever evil that a lot of these people want to commit throughout the world. It's been a very long time, a very long time. And just like 80% of people right now, compared to maybe like, could you imagine us going to war with Iraq if 9/11 didn't happen? Probably would have been a lot harder to convince the public, to convince we the people to go forward with that. So common sense, what needs to happen if a lot of Americans are not with this war, and the powers that be, these oligarchs, you think they're listening to us? The only thing that they've shown us on a consistent basis is that they do not listen to us and that they're going to follow through with their agenda no matter what. So with that being understood, that 80% of Americans are not with the war in Iran, what did they try to do? They tried to create chaos and propagandize us with oh, we got to free the Iranians. That's what it's the leadership we don't like, but we got to we got to help those people. We got to go over there in another country. They got 90 plus million people, but we, America, because we're so great at regime changes, because we're so great at even working in coordination amongst our own government officials, right? We have Donald Trump working hand in hand. You got ICE working with the police, right? All these things. We're so great at what we do. We should be the ones that go over there and liberate Iran. They're going to get whatever it is that they want done. So they just need, or would prefer, more of us to be on board with it, because the more we're on board with it, because the mob is fickle, then the more they'll be able to do, the more land Israel will be able to take. And we know that it's an urgent time for Israel, because with the tide shifting with America and less Americans having favorable opinions on Israel and what they're doing in that region, they know that this is a unique time, a once in a lifetime time, perhaps, in order to push through and take as much land and conquer that region and control that region. They know that the time is now for their Greater Israel Project. So a few things may end up happening. They're going to escalate things back and forth. I would not be surprised if something happened to an American in one of these countries, or if something ends up popping up in America where it's like, oh my God, and then we just start blaming one group or another group in order to justify, okay, now it's okay. Wait, you telling me they attacked America? Oh, nah. Now it's time to attack them. We know how this is going to go. We've been conditioned with Old Testament eye for an eye mentality rather than turn the other cheek Jesus covenant. They know that as soon as something happens, we are going to be ready to strike back, throw all principles, throw all previously constructed thoughts from a logical standpoint out the window, understanding what's going on, understanding the chaos that they're trying to create. We're going to throw all that out the window and be cool with striking. And then the same thing with Iraq, 10 years later, 15 years later, maybe sooner, we'll sit back and say, oh man, maybe this wasn't a good idea. And a lot of politicians will be bashing the politicians that made the decisions today, and we'll be bashing them. But then they'll already be trying to get us into the next conflict, because war is money, war is control. It's control based on fear. It's control based on a lot of other things. But war is money and control, two things that people in power seek the most: power, money, and control. The power is the same thing as control. So two things. All right, let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving. What's up, Incognito? Shout out to Incognito in the building. You got to go back and listen to the first half of the show, which we did a meditation, which was dope. Well, I thought it was dope. I hope y'all thought it was dope. All right, so let's move on. I wanted to show y'all this. I came across this clip from Kirk. I don't think that we've ever watched this clip particularly, especially not the entire thing. We've seen different, maybe like reels from it, but I'm not sure. Let me see. Let me share this one. Hold on. So if you see it, whoever Ian is posted this and said this is why they killed Charlie Kirk. I tell you, I don't know why Charlie Kirk was killed. I don't know who killed Charlie Kirk. The story that they gave us doesn't seem to be consistent at all. And I think the only thing that we probably feel confident in is that whatever we've been hearing is not the truth. We don't know what is the truth, but I think most of us looking at the situation can look at it and say there's too many inconsistencies for this to be the truth. I may not know exactly what the truth is, but this definitely is not the truth. So let's take a listen to this Charlie Kirk video. May not play the entire 5 minutes, but I think it's a very important reminder, and perhaps it does shine a bit of a light on why Charlie Kirk could have been seen as a threat to a lot of the things that Israel, the not elites, the oligarchs are looking to accomplish in that region. So let's take a look.
Let's do some updates about Israel and Iran and potentially the United States. On one side is the Lindsey Graham, John Bolton types, where they are actively calling for regime change. Here is Lindsey Graham. This is just lunacy. This kind of analysis is not helpful. This kind of approach, this kind of argument, it has nothing to do with nuclear weapons at this point. This is now that we want to go all in and take out the regime. It's time for us to close the chapter on the Iranian Ayatollah and his henchmen and start a new chapter in the Middle East. And that sounds good, doesn't it? But what have we learned when it comes to wars, and especially wars in the Middle East? What you draw up on a whiteboard rarely happens. What you think theoretically is going to occur, there might be unintended and unforeseen consequences, especially when you're talking about a country 2.5 times the size of Texas. It has 90 million people and was an ancient and great power with well over a dozen ethnic groups. You have underground Christians. You don't really have many Jews left in Persia. But also you have secular younger Persians. Who's going to run the country exactly, Lindsey Graham? This sounds like Hillary Rodham Clinton in Libya. So I'm pointing to the first extreme right now, the neoconservative extreme. We must go take off the head of the snake right now. Play cut 285.
Be all in, President Trump, in helping Israel eliminate the nuclear threat. If we need to provide bombs to Israel, provide bombs. If we need to fly planes with Israel, do joint operations. But here's the bigger question. Wouldn't the world be better off if the Ayatollahs went away and replaced by something better? Wouldn't Iran be better off? It's time to close the chapter on the Iranian Ayatollah and his henchmen. Let's close that chapter soon and start a new chapter in the Mideast, one of tolerance, hope, and peace.
You know what I realized? That a lot of people, they always use that line, wouldn't the world be a better place? They try to make it seem like, well, wouldn't the world be a better place without this and what this person represents? Just because the world would be a better place, that doesn't give us the ability to create, to play God and to just kill people. Wouldn't the world be a better place? That's not enough justification to kill somebody. Wouldn't the world be a better place? I'm sure there's a lot of American politicians that we could say that very same thing about or ask that same question about. And if we applied the same logic, it probably wouldn't go good for them. You can't just be out here saying, what if the world, like, would the world be a better place without somebody or something or some group? And that be the justification for getting rid of somebody. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. But perhaps that's their same logic when they look at a lot of other things when it comes to our country. Well, wouldn't the world be a better place without this, without that, without that? It shows who they prioritize. It shows what's prioritized. But that's just not enough of a reason to think that you can kill somebody. That's man playing God. That is man playing God. If the commandment is thou shalt not kill, you don't get to pick and choose because in your mind, the world would be a better place without this person existing, that they shouldn't exist. That's what we're seeing. That's what we're seeing. Let's keep going.
Okay, that sounds good, but that's pathologically insane. I'm sorry, it is. How do you know it's going to be better? Yeah, the Ayatollah is awful, but maybe he's one of the few guys that can keep that country together and not have a 90 million person civil war. Lindsey Graham is so consistently out of his mind, it's hard to even comprehend. Iran is hugely diverse. It is a massive country. Do the people agitating for war even know that? Because be clear, regime change is war. Just to understand, regime change is not like changing the head coach at the Chicago Bears. It's not how it works. It's not like a clean transfer. Typically in the Mideast, it's very messy, creates a quagmire, and then there is civil war. Do you understand how large Iran is? It's massive. It's a very big country. It's mountainous. It makes Afghanistan and Iraq look like a cakewalk. Just look at this beast of a country with all the different regions, all the different dialects, if we could put that up on screen. And then you have a major refugee concern of Mohammedans that will come to Europe and endanger more Christians than Jews, and Mohammedans that will come to America. No, that is wrong. So that is one extreme. The other extreme to
I want to look
America.
at that map real quick. Yeah. Iran is pretty big. Pretty big. All right, let's keep going.
No, that is wrong. So that is one extreme. The other extreme is one that I have deep respect and reverence for because I actually think if we had that other extreme, we would not have invaded Iraq. This other extreme is philosophically important. It's important to consider, and that's the Ron Paul extreme. And I love Ron Paul. Ron Paul is awesome. I would have Ron Paul on the show regularly. He is a hero because Ron Paul had the courage to challenge old sacred cows of the Republican Party. He made people defend the indefensible. But the Ron Paul perspective is strictly isolationist. I actually agree with a lot of this other extreme, a lot. I think it's healthy to have this other extreme more than the neoconservative extreme because this extreme has been underrepresented in the public dialogue and discourse the last 20 years. So you have these two extremes. I honestly don't think the neoconservative extreme needs to be represented philosophically anymore. It's uninteresting to me. They've done a mess of Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, the entire Middle East, Ukraine. We know what the neoconservatives believe.
Charlie Kirk is challenging a lot of very powerful people when he's saying these things. And everybody knew that Charlie Kirk had the ear of Donald Trump. And he wrote a letter, I believe, to Donald Trump regarding this war in Iran and not wanting us to get involved. And to be honest, it probably didn't mean anything because Donald Trump can listen to whoever he wants to listen to, but ultimately, he's not the decision maker. What did Donald Trump get up there and say? Oh, yeah, we're not going to let them annex the West Bank. No, that's too much. J.D. Vance goes over to Israel. What did they vote on? To annex the West Bank, and they vote to do so. Just to throw shade at America and let America know who's boss, that it doesn't matter what Donald Trump says. The agenda is the agenda, and it's going to be followed through, regardless of whether or not Donald Trump is able to get the American people on board with it. That's why you already have people moving into these places. In my opinion, that's why they not only had to kill Hamas, but they also had to destroy the land, destroy the buildings. That way, when they're rebuilding, people have less of a claim to certain structures because it's like, well, yeah, this used to be where your home was, but nothing here now but dirt and rubble. So therefore, yeah, this is ours. That's the energy of it. They destroyed all the private property so people would have less of a claim to private property, which under international law, no matter what happens in a war zone, those people have the right to return and or guess it would be, yeah, they have the right to return and or the ability to be compensated on their land that was taken from them. So let's keep going. But the things that Charlie Kirk is saying, when you start speaking up against people going to war, you're taking money out of people's pockets. You're taking control away from leaders. So what would any leader who is not concerned with taking a life, not concerned with taking many lives, when you take away these powerful, and it's like powerful, it doesn't even say enough to describe what these groups of people have. But when you take away or threaten their power and control, their ability to create chaos, their ability to make money, that is a threat. That is a threat. And it's a threat that they're not going to take lightly. So when we go back and look at a lot of these different videos with Charlie Kirk speaking, look, the narratives play. It's like the story's writing itself at this point. The story's writing itself. There doesn't need to be anybody amping this up. Like, we're seeing it right in front of our face. And I saw Queez write something about Candace Owens. So Candace, yeah, I don't know what's going on with Candace and Erica Kirk, but one thing that I will point out is the fact that Erica Kirk has not sued Candace Owens. All of these things that people are saying that Candace Owens is evil, and, you know, maybe that is evil for her doing this investigative series on the bride of Charlie Kirk, Erica Kirk. Maybe that is evil. But just because something is evil does not mean it's a lie. And I just want to point that out, that Erica Kirk has not sued for defamation. She has not sued Candace Owens. So I don't know whether if she sues, she's scared of other things coming out that Candace Owens may not be talking about. We don't know what it is. All I know is that she has not sued her. So perhaps that tells a little bit of the story. But let's keep going.
I do think hearing out, and honestly, I agree with a lot of the more, I think isolationist is
Shout out
used
to you,
as a
Abu Hana.
pejorative, but let's just say restrained community. Take out the Ayatollah. Resist that temptation. That's not prudence. That's not self-control. That's something else talking. That's a zeal. And that very same zeal got us involved in a pile of garbage in Iraq. It all felt good with shock and awe in March of 2003. We're unstoppable. We're going to take Iraq in a weekend. Turns out, it didn't work that way. A lot of people died. A lot of Americans died unnecessarily.
The less we value life, or maybe I should say the more we value life, the bigger the threat to the control of these oligarchs, right? And shout out to Dutch in the building. I'm not sure if I addressed my bro Dutch, but yeah, Dutch said they used Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk was used. And what happens when you get used and you're no longer useful? You get cut, you get clipped. I learned this very early on in sports. When they no longer see you as useful or as useful as somebody else can be, you're not there. There's no sympathy. There's no, yeah, bro, here's a garbage bag. Pack up your shit. Let me get that iPad up off you. Let me get that playbook, and we'll send you your flight details. Thank you for all that you've done. That's that, and I guess I should be happy about, you know, the industry that I was in, because I got to learn that lesson. You know, I'm not laughing when I say a lot of people, when you're in the industry of having a lot of influence over a lot of people, and you're in the industry of politics, I should say, you don't just get cut from the team. You don't just get clipped like that. You get clipped perhaps like Charlie Kirk got clipped. You get clipped perhaps how JFK got clipped. You get clipped perhaps how MLK, how Malcolm got clipped. Fred Hampton, you know, a lot of these different people we've seen that have certain influences that threaten the establishment, and the establishment, like, nobody's above that program. That's the mindset. Nobody's above the program. So yeah, he got cut from the team. Like, that's exactly, he got cut from the team. He was no longer fulfilling the team. It doesn't matter whether you're right or wrong. This is the team's goal. So when you no longer are aligned with this team's goal, you're going to get cut. And we don't want you playing for the other team. So therefore, how do we prevent both? So, and shout out to Bubbles. Yeah, everyone needs a friend like Candace. She said, thinks Candace is trying to find out what happened to her friend. Yeah, I'm sure. And no matter what her motivation is, it matters. It matters. You know, a lot of people are saying, well, you know, she's getting money, she's making money. Well, if that's the case, then how do we point out the fact that Candace is making money off of this, and we use that to discredit her? A lot of people do. But then when it comes to our politicians being asked if they're receiving money from AIPAC, like clearly, should that discredit everything that you say about Israel? In my opinion, it does. If you're taking money from somebody and then I'm asking you your honest opinion about them, like you're there's no way that you can be objective. There's no way that you could be objective. So, I didn't even realize it's already 10 o'clock. It is already 10 o'clock. Do I want to play this one last video? Hold on. Let's play this one last video. It's a short clip. This is a Israeli historian reminding us on this conflict between, or perhaps the differences between Iran and Israel. Iran and Israel. I always pronounce that incorrectly. Let me see if I can share this tab very quickly. All right, take a look at this.
Neighbor. Israel has repeatedly attacked, and Iran has never attacked a neighbor. Israel has repeatedly attacked its neighbors. Iran signed the Non-Proliferation Treaty. Israel has refused to sign. Iran submits to inspection by the International Nuclear Energy Agency. Israel refuses to submit. Iran has no nuclear weapons. Israel has between 75 and 400 nuclear weapons. So Israel poses an existential threat to Iran. For the last 40 years, Israel has conducted a systematic campaign of disinformation about Iran. Why the lies? Why the double standards? Why the hypocrisy?
So just perhaps, we got to be able to hear different perspectives and just remind ourselves that just because we hear something that a country or that the news is telling us about a country, it's 99% of the time, it's being told to us with an agenda. It's being told with us to get us to see the world in a very particular way that allows these people to get away with doing whatever it is that they want to. So I guess we'll still do the breath work today, right? We'll still do the breath work. Hold on, we'll finish off because we got to finish off with it. Hold on. Excuse me. Excuse me. All right, let me reset this, share this tab. All right, we already got it on the screen. All right, so y'all should already know the deal. I guess anybody who, well, hold on, let me catch up with some of these comments. Shout out to the sports references. I love it. Phyllis is my girl. I saw matter of fact, I'm not even sure if I got a chance to respond to it, but I saw Phyllis write that in one of the other videos that we put up, and she was like, yeah, for the sports references. Shout out to Phyllis. Now, whenever I make a sports reference, I think about Phyllis. Man. And shout out to, I hope Andy, we got to talk to Andy over the weekend. Andy's doing well. But let's see. Dutch wrote, Israel poses an existential threat to America. Yeah, definitely. I don't, yeah, 100%. That's my opinion. Bubbles, that guy is not wrong. It's like you hear all these things and we have to remind ourselves, like, why is Iran so bad? Why is Iran so bad? We have to ask ourselves that. Oh, well, because they did this, they did that, they did this. Oh, well, how do we know they did that? Oh, well, the new, ooh. And then it's like you realize, like, oh, okay, maybe I need to reconsider, my thoughts on this. All right. And the Rothschilds, of course. Yeah, a lot of people involved. A lot of these wealthy people are involved. Turning Point USA is still milking Charlie's death and making millions. I agree. So before we start all that grifting energy when it comes to Candace, let's talk about the grift of, having a funeral that your widow was talking about as the biggest event of the what did she say? The biggest event of the year or something or whatever. Yeah, I don't want my funeral to be the biggest event of the year where you're throwing out merch and selling merch and signing up people to vote. But to each their own. To each their own. Big Bro Steve wrote the eternal question, why the double standard? Why the hypocrisy? Yeah, why the hypocrisy? That's something that we all need to ask ourselves. Why the double standard? Why do we see the things that in this world, especially occurring in that region, the way that we see them? Is it our education? Did we ever learn about Iran growing up? We learned about the Holocaust. We definitely learned about the Holocaust. We learned all the horror stories that came along with that. Maybe we should extend that education that we had growing up to give a bit of a more balanced approach to understanding the controversies in that region. That's what I would like. Dutch said our country is becoming held at economic gunpoint by the Zionist bankers. That's a fact. That is a fact. You look it up for yourself, but I believe that that's a fact. It is treason. It is treason in a lot of ways. Everything that's being told is questionable. That's why I appreciate this channel so much. You're my people. Yeah, y'all are my people. This is why I appreciate y'all so much, because sometimes you could be in this world and feel like, yo, am I going insane? Am I the only person asking these type of questions or having these sort of reactions to certain things that are happening where it seems like everybody else going that way, but like I'm over here questioning, like, oh, like, what are we doing? So definitely y'all help with a lot of that. Yeah, Bubble. Yeah, it was weird at that event. Thought I was going to a memorial. Facts. The whole Jim Carrey thing. Hold up, Critical. Hold up now. Critical always coming in with something different that we don't. What Jim Carrey thing? Let us know about that. Maybe that's something that instead you went to a political rally, Bubbles. But yeah, tell us what Jim Carrey is. Maybe we can touch on that tomorrow. Well, let me let y'all get out of here. Let's get into this breath work. So y'all know every inhale is intentional with inhaling positive energy. Every exhale is intentional with releasing any negative limiting energy, anything holding us back from becoming the greatest version of ourselves. We're going to go through it 4 times. I'm not going to hold y'all up anymore. We're going to start with an inhale. I'm going to reset this, and on the bell, that's an inhale. So if you want to close your eyes, cool. If not, follow the yellow dot, and we'll start now. On this next inhale, be very intentional. Inhaling that positive energy. Hold it. And then this last exhale, releasing the remaining bit of that negative energy, anything holding us back. All right, y'all know what we come here to do. Elevate on purpose, both from an intentional standpoint, raising our standards to become the best of whatever it is in this world we need to become, to bring some positivity to it. All right, strength and honor, onward and upward. Let's just figure out what we can do to get 1% better. We spent a lot of time today, the entire first half of the show, meditating. Anything that we can do, nothing's off the table, right? Nothing's off the table when it comes to, elevating the frequency and just creating a better place. Like, we don't even have to speak from it from a standpoint of anything other than us moving around in a world where we feel good about ourselves, we feel secure within ourselves, and that allows us to embrace others with positivity as well. So as we're living in our purpose, striving for purposeful abundance, think about the things that we want to focus on throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the month, that is ultimately going to add up to what this impact on the world is going to be, that we can control. Focus on the things that are within our control, controlling the controllables. And we each have a lot of power just within that once we realize and accept that we do. What's going to be your North Star? What are the things that are going to guide you as you're living in your purpose? The things that I focus on: peace, love, happiness, health, wealth, and everything we do, integrity. Got to have that balance. And if Glay was here, I'd tell him, give me a big sprinkle of that perspective, because perspective perhaps is the most important thing throughout this entire process. So everybody have a good one. The only reason why I'm a little bit upset that we did the meditation today and didn't have as many people is that, once again, I said I was going to say it 10 times throughout the show. I didn't get to repeat it in front of 1,000 people. Happy birthday to Maya, the love of my life, the person who manages my emotions. That's a little bit of an internal joke. My emotional manager, my emotion manager. Yeah, let this be an amazing year for you. And let everybody declare that each day we are going to let this be the worst day of our lives. And that be amazing. I don't even want to put it that way. Let me change it, because words have power. Let me change that to, let us work towards making every day better than the last. And living in the moment. Focusing on where we are right now. The only thing that's real is the now. The future, who knows? The past, we beyond that. The only thing we have is now. So with that being said, I shall see y'all Wednesday, 8 a.m. We got our move done. So that was all the confusion last week. If y'all could understand, matter of fact, I should have Maya get on here and talk about what we went through in order to get back down to Miami on Friday. I don't know how we made our flight, but due to my amazing big brother and my amazing parents and Maya's amazing parents, we were able to make it happen. So got to have your village right. And Phyllis summed it up very correctly. I feel very privileged to be part of this community. I feel very privileged to be in this position with y'all as well. And I think every day we're realizing, how special of a community this is. And this makes me optimistic. If I move closer, y'all would see the goosebumps. But appreciate y'all. And let me apologize to Mama Lay. Yeah, I made my parents, they had to cancel their lunch with Mama Lay because because we were moving. Yeah, Maya and I we work well under pressure at times. She just ignores my craziness. I'll be screaming and stuff like, like, wow, are we last minute with everything? And Maya just will be sitting there looking at me and just continue working. And then somehow it ends up getting rewarded because we end up on one of the most luxurious flights, a new airplane. We sat in the first row, whatever, first class. And y'all know what I mean when I'm talking about luxury, who I'm talking about. I'm talking about Spirit Airlines. I'm talking about Spirit Airlines. I don't know how we ended up getting upgraded. I told y'all need to stop sleeping on Spirit. Yeah, we ain't gonna make this flight. Well, actually, we never thought that, even though I said it. Maya never said it, but I just kind of said it to say, like, to put some pressure on. But we ended up going from that to getting blessed. Being on luxury airlines, courtesy of Spirit Airlines. But Bubbles, you've never been on an airplane? Hold up. Hold up, Bubbles. We got to change this. All right, so Maya and I were talking. We got to start doing some group trips, yo. Would y'all be down for that? Like, and for real, like within the next, maybe like plan it for 3 months out or something like that. Would y'all be down? Yo, we just go travel different places. That would give me life. Imagine if us as a group, we just decided maybe quarterly, or maybe it doesn't even have to be quarterly. We just committed to one time going on a trip, learning different cultures, like eating the food of that place and just having an amazing trip. Like, could you imagine the benefits that would come from getting people with totally different backgrounds all coming together just to have a positive trip, a positive experience? Can we do that? Can we really do that? Like, can we aim for 3 months? Yo, hold up. Yo, Queens is disrespectful. Yo, Queens, I take this as nothing other than disrespect. just so we're clear. My spirit won't let me fly, Spirit. Oh man. But yeah. Let's so Bubbles in Arizona, we're gonna figure out something. So on that note, let me let y'all go. I'll see y'all Wednesday at 8 a.m. and have an amazing day. All right. Y'all have a good Mama Lay. We be back and forth all the time, but we need to. Maya travels throughout the world. I don't have that many stamps in my passport. I need to get out. And there's dope places that we can go to in America that we don't typically go to. Like, I've only done all the big basic trips, like Miami, Atlanta, Vegas, like stuff like that. There's other places that we can go to and have some amazing experiences. So, but we're not limiting ourselves to America. If anything, I'd like to get to some other countries. Gotta be safe now. But we're protected by God. We're doing God's work. So that's the greatest protection that we can have. So with that, I'll see y'all 8 a.m. and on Wednesday. Y'all have a good one. Ew.